I am continuing my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am reading in a chronological order of events, not according to publication or volume, so I will be skipping around a bit as I move along. We are continuing with Isaiah. This will be chapter 53. Isaiah speaks messianically. Messiah's humiliation and suffering set forth. He makes his soul an offering for sin and makes intercession for transgressors. Compare Mosiah chapter 14. Who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, and we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of God, and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace is upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned every one to his own way, and the Lord hath laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who shall declare his generation? For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked, and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. He shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. He shall see the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death, and he was numbered with the transgressors. And he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors. Now that is a very famous chapter. I do want to point out just a couple of things. This does take us through the suffering that Christ endured for the atonement. As a sheep to the slaughter, he opened not his mouth. And when he got arrested, that is true. He stayed silent. There's a couple of things that I find interesting. So not just his suffering, not just his physical suffering. He made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence. Grave with the wicked, he was crucified with 2 thieves. With the rich in his death, he was buried by Joseph of Arimathea, a very wealthy man. So the preciseness of this, you got to understand, with prophecy, frequently anyways, the prophecy is given in a way that those who first hear it wonder, what exactly does this mean? And it is not really understood until after it is fulfilled, and men with discernment, with the Spirit, look back and they say, yes, this is exactly what this prophecy was saying. So in this prophecy, it just says, made his grave with the wicked and death with the rich. That can mean many different things. But now we know that it is referring to the being crucified between the thieves and being buried in the tomb of Joseph of Arimathea, because that's how it was fulfilled. And with prophecy, this is frequently the case. We frequently don't know. We know they saw something. We know they understood a whole lot more than we do. But until it is fulfilled, we do not understand exactly how much they knew. And it is looking back on prophecy that we understand what it's actually saying. It's not looking forward to the future. See, prophecy is there to guide us, to show us, but it's not there for us to know exactly what's going to happen in general. There are some that are very specific, like the coming of Cyrus to conquer Babylon. That's very specific. He's mentioned by name. There are a few other people who are mentioned by name. There are some prophecies that give specific timing of years. But in general, prophecy is written in a way that when we live through the prophecy, if we are in tune with the Spirit, as we live through that prophecy, we recognize it in the moment. It's not that we know, it's not that we can look and say, oh, this is going to happen at this point. It's that when we go through it, we recognize it in the moment, and we say, yes, this is what God was talking about. Now, I do want to point this out. This is a very controversial point here. But it says here, who shall declare his generation? And then later on it says, when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed. Now, most people interpret this as us. We are the sons and daughters of God, adopted by Christ through the atonement. And very logical, very likely meaning for the passage. But there have been some, and I mean some leaders in the church, who interpreted this as a statement that Christ would actually have mortal children. He sees his seed, he sees his children at his death. Not only does he see his mother, but he sees his wife and his children. Now, as I say, controversial thing, and it's just an opinion that some early church leaders have had. I just find it interesting. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not even saying that I agree with it. I just wanted to say that it has been theorized by some, and I find it interesting. Anyways, we leave that here, and I will see you in the next one.